Yesterday was a rough weather day here in Central Florida, and we do believe the weather could have influenced a couple of different mishaps that we saw in Brevard County, from the crane collapse to a small aircraft going down in the Indian River. Now, it's unconfirmed whether or not it was a direct contribution of the bad weather we had rocking through the Central Florida area, but regardless, you go outside during bad weather and you naturally increase the risk that something could possibly happen to you. So, as a result, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about watches, warnings, and advisories, as well as how turbulence in the thunderstorms we had yesterday could have possibly brought down or at least affected the aircraft trying to make a landing or putting it down in the water the way that it did. Now, first and foremost, watches, warnings, and advisories, they were a pivotal component of my time in Air Force weather. It's how we kept our people safe. And believe it or not, they come in multiple layers. Let's go ahead and compare a watch to a warning. A watch, to put it in its simplest terms, is the conditions in the big picture are there, but the bad weather isn't happening yet. Kind of like if you were going to cook your favorite meal. You've got the ingredients out in front of you on the cutting board table, the cutting board surface, but you haven't put the meal together yet. You haven't cooked it on the stove or thrown it in the oven or whatever. The warning would be, okay, you've thrown the ingredients together and now you have your favorite entree sitting in front of you waiting to be devoured. Same concept. A thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch means, hey, we could have thunderstorms forming up, just getting you the word out so you have the situational awareness you need to stay safe. Warning means it's happening, hold on, because it's coming your way. An advisory you could consider a step down from a warning. Typically, warnings, like a warning you'd receive from your spouse, a partner, a friend, your boss, supervisor, hey, I'm warning you. If this happens, this is going to happen. Or, hey, fair warning, this is headed your way. Kind of the same concept. An advisory, on the other hand, is like a gentle nudge from the person beside you. Hey, just a heads up, we're tracking this today. Could cause some inclement conditions for you, or it could make things inconvenient while you're out doing this later on. On top of that, we've done a lot of discussion about straight line damaging winds. Now, that's a common phenomena here in Central Florida, especially during sea breeze season or rainy season. We've seen a lot of it happen up to this point, and typically after the sea breezes collide over Central Florida, that's when you're more or less playing a game of tracking the outflows. As the thunderstorms collapse, you got the winds down in the low levels. When those areas meet up, it causes more local lift, and you get more thunderstorms in the blink of an eye. Now, how can these downdrafts, these downrush winds influence aircrafts? How could that have played a role in what happened yesterday? Thankfully, no one was hurt. No one was taken from us. I praise, that's awesome news. But unfortunately, we were out in inclement weather regardless. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that could have played a bit of a role. When those winds come crashing down, as they do, rapid amount of air coming down in the vertical. You can see here it could create strong tailwinds. It could create strong headwinds, so it could help or hurt the aircraft altogether. Or if you happen to be right underneath the bad boy as it's coming down on you, you can see that plane, a jetliner, just ends up getting pushed. It gets bullied down into the low levels. You start to lose a lot of altitude, and that's also what creates turbulence. Turbulence also could have played a role yesterday as well. And turbulence comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, etc. Depending on where you live, where you're traveling, what the weather conditions are. You have things like clear air turbulence. Could be blue skies, sun shining, and you still are rocking up there as you're taking off or landing or in midair over an airport, over where it is you're flying. You also have something like mechanical turbulence, where you just have, a rough surface, kind of like frictional effects, where things just naturally get to shaking because the air is doing all this, and as a result, you're flying through it. You're going to feel that. You also have thermal turbulence. Believe it or not, you could kind of make a case to say our sea breeze is a form of thermal turbulence. You get a very hot inland area versus a relatively cooler body of water just adjacent to that, and that's what creates the sea breeze, because you got the difference in temperature creating that little rush of winds that we then get in the form of thunderstorms here in Central Florida. So just wanted to give you that little crash course. I promise I'm not being punny. Wanted to give you that little kind of update on how weather may have influenced all the different things we saw unfortunately take place yesterday.